What's up guys, my name is Liam and today we're going to be taking a look at an updated version of the Burst Air Pro. Since Turtle Beach has taken over Roccat, this is their new take on the Burst 2 Air and it is ultra lightweight. So how does this stack up against competition, and more importantly, is this going to be the perfect gaming mouse for you? Let's check it out. And before we get started today, I did want to let you know that this was sent out to me. However, everything you're going to be hearing in this video is going to be my own words and my own opinions. Included inside the box, they do have this USB-C type cable. It does come with a quick start guide. They also do include an extra set of these larger PTFE style skates, and also does come with grips, and these grips feel very similar to the Razer grips. They just have that rubberized feeling to them. And here's a close look of the 1K receiver and the dongle adapter that does come included. It does have this peel off sticker on the bottom, and it has like this mirrorized finish rubber, very sticky, so it sits on your desk nicely. Starting at the bottom of the mouse, very simple layout here. As you can see, it does come with the smaller skates pre-installed on here. There's a power button over here in the middle. It is powered off. Switch it up to enable the 2.4 gigahertz dongle, and then come down here to enable Bluetooth mode. And over here, as you can see on the left side, they do have a storage place if you wanted to store the 1K receiver. These nice cutout holes in here to make this bottom more lightweight. I really have been enjoying the skate design and layout on this. Nice and big real estate here, so you can put any type of skate on you want here freely. And the skates that come included on this, shockingly, are just absolutely amazing. They are this see-through transparent version PTFE skates, and they glide very well on all the types of mouse pads that I've been testing this out on. And I do want to say that clearly whoever designed this has been doing their homework, because I was just really impressed with the design on this, especially the skates it comes included with. That's usually a factor that a lot of people do miss. But when it comes to the top of the shell over here, as far as the coating on this goes, it does have just a plasticky type of a feeling. It is smooth to the touch, but there is a type of texture there. And the one thing about the texture on the surface of this, for my drier set hands, it is actually really grippy for me. So I was having no issues gripping this. Even as I tried getting my hands wet, it's actually still pretty grippy if you get your hands just loosely wet. But if you sweat really bad, or your hands get like drenched or soaking wet or anything like that, this surface does become more slippery. So it doesn't have any type of rubberized coating. It does kind of have this unique button up here in the top left hand side, and this is the button that actually controls the DPI for the mouse. Now the shape of this, we'll jump into it here shortly, but this is a rear hump style mouse. So the way that I was gripping it with my size of hands, it never became an issue to me when I was using this where I ever accidentally touched or anything like that. I actually didn't even get close to it. So I imagine you'd have to have really large hands to even be able to touch it as you're gripping this. And then when it comes to the switches themselves, this is using their Titan optical switches, and it looks like they're made by Kel. I'll go ahead and show you an internal shot of these here really quickly. And these optical switches, they actually do feel pretty different from a lot of the other competition out there. One thing that I talk about on my channel a lot is how a lot of these optical switches feel hollow or have that really hollow sounding to them. These don't really feel that hollow or sound it. They're actually kind of clicky and snappy. Now I would say that these do feel good, but they are a little bit on the heavier end when I was going back and forth and comparing them to something like the Huano Blue Shell Pink Dots. But I honestly really don't mind these. They feel really snappy, and they've done an incredible job with the implementation on these. If you look here at the click, there is practically no pre-travel on here at all. Just a solid click right into it, and a very minimal to almost no post travel. Same thing on all types of mice. If you do come up here on the tip, there's just a little bit more play, but honestly not a whole lot. So the click implementation on this, it does really feel solid all the way around, and these buttons are great. There's like no side to side play at all whatsoever, not even any type of teetering or rocking. The scroll wheel on here is actually all plastic, so there is no type of rubberized ring on it. But I do want to say that I haven't had any issues with it feeling too slippery or anything like that. It does have these small notches on here, and it does feel really good. If you're somebody who likes to lightly brush against the scroll wheel with some type of a grip, you're going to notice it being a little bit more slippery, obviously. But the scroll wheel does have pretty nice defined steps, a little bit on the lighter end there, but they are there. And the click is nice and easy to spam, so everything about the functionality of the scroll wheel feels great. They've also done a pretty good job with the side button design here. I was a little worried that they stuck out a little bit, but you don't notice them at all. They actually do sit pretty flush with the curve of the mouse itself. As you can see here, they're a little bit longer, which I do like, and they do have this gap in the middle, so they were really easy to tell apart from one another. But when it comes to the implementation, they feel pretty good. There is a little bit of pre-travel there, so a little bit on the mushier end, not too bad though, and a nice, really tactile click there, really lightweight click. When you click the button, it does push in just a little bit, so you do have a bit more of post travel there, I feel like, but it does hit a nice solid wall, so it doesn't go into the mouse or anything like that. And as you can see, there's no play on these side to side, so just a little bit looser feeling on the side buttons, and everything else about this has held up and felt really solid so far. As far as the shell integrity goes, I don't get any type of bending or flex, anything like that, so really solid, especially coming in for the weight. So let's go ahead and drop the sound test. The weight and balance on this is actually probably the most impressive thing about this mouse for me. The second I actually got this out of the box and picked it up, just immediately I was like, wow, this feels really great, because it is kind of a larger set style mouse. So I do kind of feel like when you get these bigger mice, even though it looks smaller, it kind of does have this wider rear end, that the bigger they are, it kind of really makes them feel lighter in weight just all around, with the weight being more evenly spread across. And the fact that this is balanced so perfectly, like look at that, perfect front to back, and perfect left to right. This really does feel great when you pick it up in the hands. So throwing it on the scale, as you can see, actually coming in right under 46 grams, got at 45.6. This does connect via this Swarm 2 software. If you have other Turtle Beach peripherals like a headset or even their new keyboard, you can control everything through this one software. And it is actually pretty simple to use. Once you get this all set up, it did prompt me that I did have updates for both the software and the mouse itself. So really easy to update this thing. And once you do come in, the software has a bunch of great settings. I was surprised to find this does even include the click to bounce setting. It does allow you to drop that down to 0 and then make adjustments to your polling rate if you wish to play with anything other than 1000 Hertz, adjust your DPI, and you can even turn on or off motion sync. So I felt like everything was in here that I was looking for. For the performance, they were using what they call their Owl-Eye optical sensor. It goes up to 26K. The sensor tracked great on all the surfaces that I used it on. I didn't come across any major noticeable hiccups, but when it does come to the click latency, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get this to work properly with my XLAT system. I will continue to see if there's some type of a fix or there's another way I can get you numbers. So I do apologize I wasn't able to get those numbers to you in this video. But if I am able to get it to work in the future, I promise to give you guys an update, and I'll even let you guys know down with a pinned comment below. And when it comes to the shape, if you're not familiar with the Burst Air Pro, I apologize I don't have a copy on me. I imagine they are pretty much nearly identical to another, if not the exact same thing. But I must say that I do like this shape a lot. It kind of is a flatter set style feeling mouse, I feel like, and has kind of a more rear hump profile. On the bottom, it kind of does have a more medium set style grip width right here in the middle. It does get more narrow towards the mid, and it does actually flare out quite aggressively in the rear. And the one thing that I do kind of feel like that separates this mouse apart from anything else is this flare out on the rear. It does make it feel a lot bigger and wider of a mouse back there. And the one thing that I felt like this shape felt most similar to, in my personal opinion, is the Waizowl OGM Cloud. So when stacking these up against one another, like I said, a lot of similarities here, but let's start out on the bottom. The Waizowl has more aggressive curves. When you do stack these together, the most center point, they are about equal in the grip width. The one difference is that the OGM Cloud does flare out and get wider towards the front, where this one just gets more narrow. But these both have that pretty aggressive rear end flaring out and just having overall a pretty wide rear end. And as you look at both of these from the rear, you can kind of see what I'm talking about with that flare out. I do want to say that all around that the OGM Cloud does feel just slightly a little bit larger than the Burst 2 Air, but the two differences I would say majorly are the rear of the Waizowl OGM is just a little bit wider and feel bigger in the back, and it does have a more aggressive rear style hump right there. So next up, let's take a look at it next to the Razer Viper V3 Pro. When I do put these together in the middlemost center point here, they feel really similar as far as the bottom grip width goes, but the Razer does flare out more aggressively in the front, making it more wide. And though the Razer does flare out towards the rear, it has a flatter type of a feeling where the back end of the Burst 2 Air does feel a bit more wide. And looking from them from the back, you can clearly tell that the Burst 2 Air does feel a bit more wider in the hands. And then coming over onto the side profile, the Razer Viper V3 Pro has a much more aggressive mid hump there. And I do feel like the Burst Air 2 does feel a bit more flat compared to the Razer Viper V3 Pro. All right, then finally, let's take a look at it next to the Logitech G Pro Superlight 2. On the bottom profile of the G Pro, it feels just a little bit more wide here in the middle, but the G Pro has a more flat filling from all the way from front to back. So it gets a little bit more narrow up here at the front, but then the biggest difference I feel like on this Burst 2 Air is that it feels much wider in the rear compared to the G Pro Superlight. The G Pro Superlight's always kind of had a skinnier feeling rear end to me as far as the side curvature, width, and profile goes. But as we go to look at these on the side, the G Pro kind of has more of this forward mid hump and then just very slowly tapers off to the rear and almost has like a secondary rear hump back here. As you can see on the Burst Air 2 Pro, it is just has a much higher and wider presence over there at the back of the mouse when you're gripping it. Alright guys, so that about wraps things up on the Turtle Beach Burst 2 Air. And I must say, I'm actually really impressed with this. Like I said, when I took this out of the box, the feeling of it's really great. The lightweight of it, this is very competitive just with anything on the market with how it feels so lightweight. The great skates it comes with, easy glide around, nice and smooth to track with. Turtle Beach has done a really impressive job with the overall feeling and design of this. And the one only really clear thing that is really missing about this is the fact that this does not have the 2K, 4K, or even an 8K polling rate option. So hopefully that is something they can come out with in the future. I really feel like the weight of this is very impressive. So if you are somebody where the polling rate is really not that big of an issue for you and you really do like what you've seen as far as the shape of this goes, I must say that Turtle Beach has put out a really solid contender here. All right guys, so if you have any questions or feel like I left anything out, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed watching this video and are interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.